Buyer intent. Uh, so myself, I'm a senior product manager here at HubSpot for intent specifically. A little backstory: I came over from the Clearbit acquisition about a year ago. I got two young kids, and I'm a lawn enthusiast. I like taking care of my lawn. It's almost about that time right now. Actually, there's no fresh snow, which keeps snowing and melting. But soon is going to be that time, and I'm excited about that. I don't know if anybody else cares about their lawns or not. That's a very dad thing. Today, we are going to talk about buyer intent, just a little bit of an intro. If you've never heard of it before, if you have heard of it, that's cool. I'm really excited. I hope that everyone has at least tried it. It is available to everyone for free to try out right now. And then I'm going to go over a live demo of all the stuff that's existing, plus a bunch of stuff that's new. So we launched buyer intent at Inbound last year, and since then we've actually released a bunch of pretty cool stuff. So I'm excited to walk through that, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's next, and then some Q&A. Okay, so for buyer intent, it's very straightforward, yet in my opinion, very powerful. Essentially, what it allows you to do is to know when your high-fit accounts are visiting your website and they're starting to show intent. And this is based off of a specific intent signal, and that's website-based intent signals. And it's powered by brand new reverse IP and enrichment data sources. So these are the two technologies that we rebuilt within HubSpot after being acquired. But the cool thing, and why we were super excited to do this, is because it's built natively within HubSpot. You can also cross-reference your HubSpot Smart CRM data. This is what makes it really powerful. And so, with all those three data sources combined, you can understand who in your target markets are ready to buy, regardless if they're in your CRM or not. And here come some of the key features that we launched with. So the ability to go and set your target markets. And this is basically just being able to select a group of firmographic attributes to define who your ideal company is. You can set intent criteria, which is telling us what page paths equal intent for you. And then making sure that anybody that visits those pages or combinations of pages, we can tag them as showing intent. Company keywords is a really cool one because, as you probably know, HubSpot has its own industry property, but it can be a little bit limiting. We introduced a brand new property that's called company keywords, and there's 1,500 values there that are way more specific. And a lot of them are industry adjacent, but there's also some cool ones like, for example, B2B that you can use. And so I always try to encourage customers to check out company keywords when they're going and defining their target markets. Intent orchestration is just a fancy word for saying, hey, the companies that you see in buyer intent, you can add them to just your CRM if they're net new, or if they're net new and or existing, you can add them directly to a static list or enroll them directly into a workflow. And so again, that's kind of the magic of this being built directly into HubSpot, whereas it'd be a little bit trickier if it was a third-party tool. And then automating actions. So when we first launched this at Inbound, one of the key feedback that we got, which we weren't surprised, was like, hey, I don't want to manually go and add companies from buyer intent. I want it to be done automatically so that my workflows will trigger automatically and all that good stuff. And so, at Inbound, we could technically help you trigger automations, but it wasn't until we released a brand new feature recently that you could truly do that. And so we get to our recent releases, and this is stuff that we've launched over since the past couple months, I would say. So the first one is intent recommendations. This one's really cool because, and I'm gonna demo all this stuff in a bit. So if it's kind of confusing me with me just reading through the words, then I apologize. But for intent recommendations, it's really cool because you can actually go in, and if you are unsure about what page paths are your highest intent page paths, or let's say you don't have access to web analytics, or you're not in marketing, you have no idea and you don't want to guess, we'll actually recommend high intent page paths based on your own conversion data. So based on your stages, so like lifecycle stage or deal stage, we can tell you what pages people visited before they converted to those stages. And it's really cool. It's a great way to get started or to double check your work. There's a brand new custom property. So when you set your when you define your intent criteria, you can then go and create a custom property that's basically going to say true or false when any of your existing company records either meet or don't meet your intent criteria, which is really, really great for something like workflow triggers, say for example. And then auto adding companies is the big one. This is the one that all of our customers or all of our users have really been asking for, which is the ability to automatically add companies from buyer intent to your smart CRM lists or workflows when they meet all the criteria that you've set. And so, the prime example is, well, I'm trying to find net new companies to go after, for sales to go after. And so when they're in my target market and they're showing intent, I want you to automatically add them to XYZ. And so now that's possible. You can also set up email digests now. So you can set up daily, weekly, monthly digests that show you either the most recent companies that visited your website or the ones that visit you most, which is really great for, again, getting more people in your company access to this sort of data. And then config permissions is a good one too, because now you're able to make sure that, no randoms can go in and mess with all the settings and the criteria that you set up. So I guess that's always a good one. And then the one that we launched most recently is list filtering. So this was a big one too. We heard a lot of customers say, hey, like I want to be able to look at or understand the intent of a specific set of companies. Or I want access to this certain filter based on this custom property, et cetera. And so now all that's available because you can go in and filter or exclude for lists. Okay, so and lastly, I'll just talk about the top 3 use cases, and then I'll jump into the demo here. So the first use case that we've really heard from our users is around intent-based prospecting. And this is essentially going in and taking your cold outbound motions and warming them up a bit. And what I mean by that is starting to prioritize accounts that are already showing intent and reaching out to them first over the ones that have never heard about you before. So that's the top one. That's what most customers are saying they want to do with buyer intent, is essentially being able to stack rank accounts based on their level of intent. The next one is account-based marketing or ABM. And so, with ABM, it always starts with your target account list. A lot of customers say, hey, I just want to know when my target account list hits my site and or is showing intent so that I can take action accordingly. So that's another big one. And so with list filtering, that was really a nod to that use case there. And then lastly, campaign conversion. So I know a lot of customers, they use lists to power their campaigns. And so being able to double down on campaign performance by engaging with any of those accounts that, let's say, go to your website, they show intent, but they don't convert. It's a great opportunity for you to reach out to them and then increase your campaign conversion overall. So really excited about that. And this is just a quote from one of our customers here that used our new auto ad feature to power their automated intent-based outbound motion. So that's essentially what they did. They used buyer intent to identify accounts and they put them into this workflow that actually goes out to Apollo, grabs contacts, brings them back into HubSpot, and then they reach out to them. And then, in less than 30 days, they already had some opportunities drummed up. So that was pretty neat. All righty. So how am I doing, Kyle? Doing okay?
Yeah, doing great.
Okay, cool. So let's start here with config. So this is the buyer intent app. You can find it under marketing in the nav. And like I said, everyone has access to the free version of this. And once you purchase any of the Breeze Intelligence add-ons, you will get access to the full version of this. So it's kind of like free or full. So I do encourage everyone just to check it out, the free version. You still get access to setting up your target markets and intent. There's just some limitations in terms of how many companies you can see, and you won't be able to add any companies to to HubSpot or etc. But what I always tell our users is you go and you start with setting up your target markets. All you have to do is go into the config section, you open up target markets, and then you'll have access to all of these firmographic filters right here. And it's kind of all the stuff that you would expect, like employee range, company country, etc. And the cool thing is that once you go in and start defining your target market, um, will automatically tell you, how many companies match the criteria that you set, right? So you got 11 million here, and we'll also tell you your penetration. We'll say, hey, actually 18,000 of these already exist within your CRM. And as you go and you build these different filters up, it'll automatically update. And so once you've saved that target market, what it's going to do is it's going to add it to your list here, and then we'll go and calculate your TAM. So essentially, it's just the total of all the companies in your different target markets minus all the dupes. So this is pretty neat, even just from an understanding, what the size of your market. But this is the first key part of how you segment companies within buyer intent. The second part here is setting your intent criteria. Intent criteria right now is all about page paths. And so you have the ability here to use these different operators like is equal to, is not equal to, etc. And then you define your page path. And then there's some cool things here that you can go and make your definition a little bit more specific, like what are the minimum number of visits to this page? What are the minimum number of visitors to this page? And within what time frame? So a good example here is there's a big difference between saying, hey, I want people who have visited my pricing page just one time, just one person in the past like 365 days or whatever. That's pretty broad. But you could be more specific and say, actually, I want 5 visits from 5 different people in the last one day. And then that would be pretty narrow, right? So it really kind of depends on what you feel like is best in terms of these modifiers here. But the key thing is just making sure that you select all the pages on your website that you feel like are high intent pages. And then you have the ability to set exclusions as well. So this is a good one because in here you can do things like, for example, careers. That's a classic one. Anybody that lands on the careers page, they're probably looking for a job, and you don't want to tag them as showing intent. So you can do that. And related here is the recommendations. So this is a really cool one. This is a recent release where you can actually go in and define, hey, these are the goal stages that I care about. Let's say like customer, opportunity, sales, qualified lead. And then if anybody has entered these stages within the past 90 days and they're in any of my target markets, these are the pages that they visited prior to converting to that stage. And from here, you can quickly see, hey, I've already used these. I already got these. That's great. I'm on the right track. But this one I don't have. So I'm just going to add this one and boom, there you go. You have the ability to augment your existing criteria, or if you had nothing and you're starting from scratch, let's say you're brand new to buyer intent, this is a great place to start. It's a great way to leverage your existing HubSpot data to get off to a quicker start and making sure that you're actually it's a database decision versus like I think this is my and what we've heard from customers too is there's always some neat surprises where they're like, oh man, I didn't even realize that was a good page for me, and then they add it, and that's a great epiphany to have. So click save here. One last thing, and lastly in settings, this is where you would go and define your custom property, and this is very powerful because as I mentioned before, let's say I called it showing intent. You can call it whatever you want. Once this is created, all the existing company records in your CRM, whenever they meet this criteria that you set, we will write true. And if they don't meet it, we will write false. So if you can imagine all the cool segmentation capabilities from there, targeting capabilities from there, like the possibilities are endless. But now you have this ability here. And yeah, I think like a great example is even like scoring and routing. Like you can pop this in there. It's just a custom property, let's say, or if you're doing ABM, you say you have your target account list and you can filter against who's showing intent, and you can do that outside of the buyer intent app. Okay, so once you've done these 2 basic things, you can go in here to the companies tab and you have what you need to do your initial segmentation. So these are all the filters here on the left side. The first one is just time frame. So this just basically means like, what companies do you want to see based on when they visited your website? And so I picked last 90 days. Don't pay attention to this audit mode one. This is just one for our production account here. But what you can do is then start to segment for companies that are in my target markets. And so that's your first level of segmentation, and you'll see it'll start to whittle down a bit in terms of number. And let's see here, B2B SaaS. Oh, a little slow here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we got 10,000 companies. And so now you can see just in this table view here, these are all the companies that are in my target market because we have a little tag here showing them the target market. You can also see that these ones already exist within your CRM. From there, you can filter for companies that are showing intent. And in my opinion, even with just these two filters, you are in a great spot because essentially what you are seeing are companies that are good fits and they're showing intent. And you've done it pretty quickly. You've gone in, you define your target markets, you define your intent, and these are the companies. And look, there's already 2,000 of them, which is a great place to start. From here, depending on what your goals are and who you're looking to target, you can then say, actually, I just want to see companies that are not in my CRM, right? And so if you're interested in prospecting and building new pipeline, this is the quote unquote money view, because none of these companies exist within your CRM. These are net new. And if you went and added them, these are brand new accounts that your sales team can go after. And so the cool thing though is, the actions. So now that we have all of these companies in here, you have the option to then look to add them to your companies list or add them to HubSpot, right? And this is the primary action, and this is how credits are spent. So as you might know, or for Breeze Intelligence, it's credit based. And so once you purchase any of the Breeze Intelligence add-ons, this is how credits are spent in buyer intent. So I've had this question asked a lot around like, how are credits spent? Do I have to do I have to spend credits to unveil companies? No, you don't. The minute you purchase any Breeze Intelligence tier, you're going to see all companies that visit your website, and you only spend credits when you add one of these companies that don't exist in your CRM to HubSpot. So 1 credit equals 1 company. Okay. But which is one thing that's kind of brand new since we introduced buyer intent is that you can add them directly to a static list or enroll them directly in workflows, and we'll automatically add them to your HubSpot first and then add them to the list. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1, and we'll charge you credit, along the way. But it's pretty neat. You're gonna be able to do that automatically as you go and do that. Filter by list. This is the new one here that people were pretty pumped about, where you can go in and only show companies in or exclude companies in. And so here's the classic example here. Only show me companies that are in my target account list. And so now all of these companies are in this target account list, and it can be static or an active list. And now you can go and track them and have specific actions for these specific companies here, which is pretty cool. And then you can also do exclusions. And this was the most common one that we heard, which is I don't want to see companies that are my customers. And although you could technically click all of these life cycle stage ones except customer to exclude them, we felt that was a little bit cumbersome. So this is the best way. And also for folks that don't use life cycle stage or have custom properties to define customer, this is a great way to exclude those sorts of companies. And then a few more HubSpot specific filters or a CRM specific filters. So you got lifecycle stage here, you got deal stage, you can filter for owners, and you can also filter for traffic source, which is pretty neat. So these align with the traffic sources that we offer in other analytics like traffic reporting stuff, where you can say, I only want to see people who are coming from organic search or paid social, etc. And specific page views as well. And so this is a little hidden gem here, but you could actually say, hey, I just want to see people from who visited my homepage. So if you wanted to narrow it down a little bit to specific pages based on page path, you can do that too. So I hope you can see there's a lot of really cool kind of mix and match, slice and dice capabilities here. And we feel like, with the introduction of lists, you really have a lot of options because, as you all know, there's a lot of really cool filtering and segmentation you can do in lists, and you basically just bring that in, and then you can unleash that power here within buyer intent. And the last thing I'll say here, at least in the side panel here, is you can save your views, and so that you don't have to recreate your filters every single time. This is very important too for a couple other features I'm going to go over in a sec. But once you have the filters that you like, you just go and you save that view, and then you'll have a list of those filters right here on the side or in this tab. When you open up the drawer for each of these companies, you also get to see some pretty cool stuff where you can see the top pages that a company has visited, and we'll actually show you, if they visited one of your high intent page paths based on your intent criteria. And we'll show you their most recent pages that they visited. Both are really useful in our opinion. If you want a little bit of more information about who this company is, we have a little bit of about information here. And then if you have existing contacts tied to that company, we'll also surface those contacts here in this tab. And so that's all the information that you'd see here. But again, the main thing is being able to look in here and do a little bit of investigation in terms of like, oh, wow, like this company really is a good fit, et cetera. And then you'll have, again, the main actions to add them to the workflow, add them to the list. This is a bit of an Easter egg. We're about to release this tomorrow. So you're going to be able to go in and exclude up to 100 companies from showing up in buyer intent. So that's a cool one too. You just click a button and they'll just disappear. So, yeah, let's see. Am I missing anything here? Yeah, we got filtering, or we got sorting here. Yeah. Okay, I think this is it. So let me get to some really cool stuff. So auto ads. Okay. So as mentioned, auto adding companies was something that we heard loud and clear from our customers when we first launched buyer intent that they really wanted. And this is, in my opinion, our coolest feature, where if you go back into configuration and you go to set up an auto ad, what it's going to do is it's going to ask you to select a save view. So you know how we just talked about, hey, after you go in and you like that combination of filters that you just set up in the companies tab, you save it as a view. Once you've done that, let me just pick a random one here. You can now have the ability to turn on auto ads. And what auto ad is going to do is that anytime a company enters that save view, from the moment you create this auto ad, will automatically send it to whatever destination that you select. So whether that is to your CRM or to a static list, and you can select, this one, you can also select more than one, to a workflow. It's really up to you in terms of where you want to send it. But anytime a new company enters your save view, we'll automatically add it to the destination of your choice. You'll also have the ability to enforce a monthly credit limit. So as you know, whenever you add a net new company, so a company that doesn't exist in your CRM, to HubSpot from buyer intent, we charge you 1 credit. In order to protect you from blowing through those credits unexpectedly, let's say you get a huge traffic surge or whatever, you have the option actually to set a credit limit. So let's say it's like 100. So if you hit that 100, we'll actually pause the adding of net new companies until the next month, and you're good to go. But again, that's not mandatory. That's optional. And we've actually seen like a 50-50 split between folks that do want to use that limit and folks that don't, because we also have customers who are like, I don't care. Like if you charge me a ton of credits because I'm adding a ton of net new companies, like go for it. You can shoot me over my limit if you want. And so it's really up to you in terms of how you want to handle that. And this is really neat because now it enables a lot of folks, and I'm assuming a lot of folks in here appreciate the notion of set and forget, where you go in and you do all your hard filtering, you do all your config, and then you turn on this auto ad and you're good to go. You'll be automatically populating a list or entering folks into workflows, etc. So that's auto ads, and we're really pumped about this one. The next one is email digests. And so again, email digest requires a save view. So once you've set up a save view, you're going to have a couple options. You can either create a digest that focuses on showcasing the companies that have most recently visited based on that save view, or the ones that have visited you the most based on the save view. It's really up to you in terms of what you want to see. And then you can go in and set your frequency to daily, weekly, or monthly. And then obviously set who's going to get this. And this is a great one. Like the most common use case for this is for like your sales team, right? If you want to set up digest for your sales team to check out every week or every day, etc., you can do that. Yeah, let's see here. Oh, and this is the sneak peek for exclusions. Don't tell anyone. It's coming out tomorrow, where you can actually go in and define up to 100 domains that you don't want to see within buyer intent. So some classic examples of the types of companies, maybe like yourself. You don't want to see your own company in there. You don't want to see partners, whatever. And what's nice about this is that although technically you could exclude these companies via list exclusions, what this allows you to do is exclude companies that don't exist in your CRM already, right? Because it's kind of annoying to have a company in your CRM to exclude it. So this is just allows you to exclude whoever you want, right? Or let's say this someone pesky keeps visiting your site, and you're like, oh, this is definitely like spam bot or whatever AI crawler. You can go and exclude them. Okay. All right. Lastly is the overview screen. And this is just a nice high-level overview of how you're doing in terms of all the companies in your TAM. And so again, this is the sum of all the companies in your target markets. How many of them are showing intent? And of the ones that are showing intent, how many have you captured? And this gives you a really nice view of how you're doing against the companies that you care most about. And there's some time frame options here, and then these are just quick links. So if you wanted to actually go and see of the companies in your target markets that are showing intent, this will just kind of shoot you to the right view here. We also give you just your top 4 high intent companies that have most recently visited your website, in case you want to have just like a quick view of like, oh, these are kind of the most recent folks that I should take a look at. And then lastly, down here, this looks a little bit overwhelming because we have a ton of target markets in this little production account here, production QA account. But we will show you your penetration against your TAM. So right now it's 0%. That's kind of sad, but hopefully that isn't the case for y'all. And then we'll show you the market opportunity. So these are the companies that are in your TAM that you haven't yet captured. And then we'll show you your percentage captured against all your different target markets as well. So this is just a nice way to understand again how you're doing against the markets that you care about versus just like your TAM in general. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. This is the first time I've actually went through everything from top to bottom. So hopefully
you did great. Okay. And the chat is very warm and friendly. Lots of people impressed. One question just off the top of my mind. Actually, everybody head over to the Q&A tab, add your questions, upvote questions. I'm going to chat with Justin a little bit while it's sifting itself. Then we'll work most popular to least popular. On the overview tab, you have a million different target markets there. Is there a limit to how many target markets you can set up?
Not currently, but we don't recommend that you set up too many.
This does seem like a lot.
Yeah, I think this is a bit of an anomaly because we do all our testing in this one.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, we recommend you just set as many as you feel like you need for your business. So
sure, makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's hop into this Q&A. Oh dear. Not a lot. Oh, I see. I'm at the bottom. All right. Yep. Okay. We do have upvotes. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Sorry, I doubted you for a split second there. All right. So with 13 upvotes, Riley asks, Can you explain the key differences between buyer intent and company lead scoring? I see a ton of overlap and would really like to understand the real technical difference between the two. Also, will buyer intent details ever be able to be factored into lead scoring?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the main difference between lead scoring and buyer intent is that lead scoring enables you to really factor in all of your different company properties and to give weights to those properties as well. So if you have a bunch of different custom properties, etc., those can all be factored into your scoring. Whereas for buyer intent, you really only have access to a small set of firmographic filters to define fit. And the reason that is the case is because we have to be able to apply that set of firmographic filters to our like giant company data set. And if you can imagine like custom properties for one specific portal, like we aren't able to use that to filter against our giant data set. And so there is a bit of like a difference there. That being said, it is in the works for us to actually take target markets and elevate it out of buyer intent so that it's its own thing. And then our vision is that for customers to go in and to find the target markets in like a app agnostic place, and then be able to apply that to different places in the app or in the platform, right? So then, if you can imagine, you're going into lead scoring, you could just say, "Is in my target market?" Yes, and that would be one of the criteria that within your lead scoring. For engagement score, I think technically today you can use the custom property already that you can create within buyer intent and factor that into your engagement score. I think I'm not 100% sure, but that's how we were thinking about it too, where you'd be able to just take that primitive or that property that you can create within buyer intent and then incorporate it into your engagement score.
That makes a lot of sense. One question that flew by in the chat when you were talking about the property that says showing intent true or false is how it if someone is that for like if someone shows intent, are they now true forever? Does it switch back to false after a certain window? What is
No, we dynamically keep it up to date.
Cool. Amazing. Yep. And yeah, I assume if somebody wants to go check and see, I assume that property can just be pulled into the lead scoring app.
I'm pretty sure because I'm pretty sure you can pull in custom properties. Yeah. So
yeah. Question from Amanda: integrations. We are using Zoom info. How can these be used together to get the deeper intent data? What does that look like?
So I know Zoom info has their own visitor intent as well. They also have like research intent, I believe. And I think, the best way to, it's hard to have two visitor intent providers at the same time. Like what I would recommend is you probably choose the one that you feel like you're getting better results with, whether that's buyer intent or Zoom info. But I think where the synergy can happen is using the third-party research intent signals that you can get from Zoom info. I'm pretty sure you can, because then you can have an understanding of the customers that are really close to purchasing. So they're really high intent, like they're on your website, they're looking at your pricing page, etc. That's what you can use buyer intent for. But you can also understand who's researching topics related to your company. So they're not quite ready to buy yet, but they're getting ready to start their buying journey. And then you can also target those companies. So it's a bit of a different way to engage customers who are in a different spot in terms of, their buying process.
Tobias asks if we can, if we'll ever have off-page intent criteria like LinkedIn and some other ABM tools do.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, great. Don't say anything else. There's a light.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, how about I'll say this: like our big focus for the year and beyond is expanding our intent signals. So it won't just be website-based intent forever. So yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a buyer intent report module on the roadmap which could be used directly inside of reports and dashboards or at page performance analytics?
We don't have that prioritized yet. But if you can email me after with more information about what you're looking to see, like I would love to hear it.
Cool. Is this only for B2B companies? Any B2C use cases here?
No, unfortunately, like this is very much a pure B2B tool, just because we only identify at the company level. So if you're looking to target like consumers and stuff, it's not gonna help, unfortunately.
Erica says, our data privacy team is really uncomfortable with some of the intent tracking specifics. In particular, the detail that HubSpot will use the intent data to improve its own products and services. Is there any future plans to allow us to opt out of sharing the data with HubSpot, but not opt out of using the intent for ourselves, or any messaging or info to share with data privacy teams on why this isn't actually a big data privacy no-no, as they put it? Would love to be able to use these tools.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, I'm sorry if you're caught in that situation there. But so the first part of your question around like, will we enable people to opt out but still use buyer intent? Currently, the answer is no. And it's mainly based on the fact that if we did offer that choice, then everyone would opt out and still want to opt into using the tool, which would then unfortunately hurt our data quality and match rates down the line. So that's the first part there. But in terms of like, making your legal and compliance team feel better, there is a really good, let me see if I can find it. There's a good knowledge base article. This one here. I'll put it. Where should I put it?
In the chat.
In the chat. Okay. Okay. There's a section in there that states understand what data the tracking code collects. And it's 4 data points. It's company domain, IP address, timestamp, and VID. And none of them are PII. None of them can be tracked to the contact. It's all company information. So it really comes down to like how comfortable your privacy and security teams are with having that data added to and used by the commercial data set. And so a lot of customers that we've spoken to, once we kind of get to this point and we try and reassure them that like, hey, these are the data points, none of your customer data is being used. It's just us extracting these data points. And even the IP itself is hashed. We never even save the IP itself. Like we see it and then we hash it. And so hashing it basically means like we anonymize it. And so we don't even know the specific IP. From there, we sometimes, customers will feel better about this. But yeah, that's usually what I say. It's just like run these 4 specific data points by your team and see how they feel about that. And then also reassure them that even the IP address, we don't save, we hash it.
Got it. And so it's not like Erica asked this question, none of Erica's company's information is being used to improve the model. It's just what's being collected through the website.
That's right. That's right. It's just these data points that are being collected via the HubSpot tracking code. And furthermore, it also respects cookie opt-in. So like if you have a cookie banner, and let's say a visitor lands on your website and they opt out of cookie tracking, we actually won't collect this data. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Ed asks, how do we get contact names for new companies that are not in our CRM?
You can't. So
not from HubSpot anyway.
Not from HubSpot. So like we don't currently offer contact prospecting as a part of breach intelligence or buyer intent. And it was a very like intentional decision that we made when breach intelligence went live at Inbound last year. So right now we have been encouraging our customers that do want to let's say, find contacts at the companies that you identify via buyer intent from one of our like third-party partners, like the Apollos and the Zoom Infos and all them. So
I will say, Justin, certainly you're closer to this than I am, but there are a lot of big conversations around this in HubSpot, and we're just trying to do what we think is the right thing. We understand that data would be valuable to you, but I mean, we still at our heart are preaching the gospel of inbound, right? And so like, we're happy to tell you when companies are visiting your website, but there are just kind of philosophically and technologically some things that would take a really heavy lift that we're not entirely convinced HubSpot should be doing.
Yeah. And I'll even add a little bit to that too, where without getting too into the weeds, a big part of the value of HubSpot is to be able to send emails that actually deliver.
Yeah.
And the minute we start to sell contacts, we're gonna be in trouble. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
That's a great point. There's a much larger holistic version. There are things that would be, I'm sure, very convenient for you to have, but we're trying to do
Mhm.
what's best for you
Yeah,
and for us.
it's trade-offs for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Are there plans to marry data such as currently in sequence or enrolled in workflow on the contact company level to the intent criteria data? When digging into companies that are showing intent, I love the ability to jump over to the CRM records, but I'd love to see more marketing and sales hub data make its way over to the buyer intent companies tab.
Oh, interesting. So no, we haven't considered that, but that's a neat one. Like what we've been thinking about is, um, eventually getting into the point where we can say, hey, like they viewed this page, or no, sorry, they clicked this button, and they've done stuff like that, which can also apply to companies that are either existing or not existing in the CRM, and start to go that route. But we haven't considered what you recommended, so I'll take a note.
That would be really cool. I will say, since currently in sequence is a property, you could make a
Mhm.
list of people who are
That is
currently in a
true.
sequence or not currently in a
That's
sequence, and then you could filter buyer intent using that. That's a few steps removed, but that is a thing you could do right now as
That's
opposed
actually a
to a
really good
feature
point.
request.
That's kind of exactly why we built the list filtering in, is so that you can do stuff like that. That's right.
So something to think about. So this one is interesting. This one came in very early on, before you got to your live demo, when you were just talking over slides. Are the keywords configurable by business unit? What I noticed is, can you talk about like keywords and the different saved views? And it seems like, regardless of whether they can be associated with business unit, which I don't know the answer to, like there are ways to organize these things.
So by keywords, you mean like the company keywords, like
Yeah,
the
the
filter?
company keywords.
Yeah. So yeah, no, you can't currently tie them to business unit. Um, it's something that we are going to invest in this year as well, which is making buyer intent more friendly to customers that have multiple business units. And so I think that is just something that isn't great right now, in the experience. Like, if I can read between the lines, essentially what I'm thinking they're wanting is like, well, I want different criteria or different filters or different views for my different business units, because they go after like different types of companies and have different intent signals, and all that good stuff. And so it's totally acknowledged. We've heard that as well from our customers, and we are going to invest in that this year.
Cool. Josefina asks, if I add a company to a workflow in order to send an email, does the company data have contacts? I think you already answered that. This is all just company level data, not contact level data. Ginger asks, will this ever be modified to apply to individual contacts rather than companies as a whole? We tend to target individual buyers as opposed to companies. So I think that is, once again, the same question again. Anyone, if I'm being overly dismissive of your question, I'm just trying to get through as many of these as possible. Feel free to hop in the chat if I'm misrepresenting what you're asking. But as much as possible, I'm trying to merge these together so we can get as far as we can. Sydney asks, for our sales team, does each individual sales member have to create smart views in order to receive email digests within the buyer intent page? Or could I set up smart views and email digests for each rep from my account?
You can do it. So if you're the main person that's going to config buyer intent, you can go in and set up the views, and then set up the email digest to send to them.
Cool. Sam asks, is this a separate tracking cookie that requires disclosure for GDPR CCPA compliance?
It's the same tracking code. Yeah.
Cool. Joshua asks, this is kind of two very different questions merged into one. How can we effectively use buyer intent for non-ABM or B2C sales motion? So you've already said B2C is kind of it's an intentional omission here, but for people who are not doing account-based marketing approaches.
Yeah. So I think it really, like, intent-based prospecting is probably the best use case there, where like even if you're not doing ABM, so there isn't like a specific target account list you're going over, but you want to be aware of when high fit, high intent accounts exist, then you would go in and set the targets up accordingly, and then add those companies to HubSpot and then start to engage with them, right? So essentially it's like new pipeline creation. That would be my recommendation there, because most companies are interested when like someone is starting to be starting to hit the pages that they feel like are high intent. And then the beauty of buyer intent is that now with auto ads you will automatically start to go after them in your sleep. So I think that's the cool thing.
Great. Eileen asks, which hubs is this included in, or is it extra? So Eileen, there is a version of this that is free. You could go play around with right now. Justin, you mentioned that Breeze credits are required to add companies from buyer intent to the CRM. Are there other features that you demoed today that people will not have access to if they have not purchased credits?
Yeah. I should be able to show you actually. So first of all, so for your first question, actually here, let me see if I can pick the right one here. Okay. So this is what it looks like when you are on the free version of buyer intent. And so essentially what you're going to see is 20 companies, right? And then once you get past the 20, everything else is going to be obfuscated. So you'll still be able to see, oh, this company's intent and target market, but all the identifying information for who this company actually is going to be obfuscated. And then when you want to go and actually take any action on these companies, those actions are blocked as well. But you're able to go in and define your target markets, define intent, and all that good stuff, just to start to see like what your opportunity is. But when it comes to actually taking action, then you're going to have to purchase Breeze Intelligence. And there isn't a specific hub that's required. So it's actually an add-on. So it doesn't matter what hub you have. As long as you purchase one of the add-ons, then you'll get access to the free version, to the full version of buyer intent, which I was demoing earlier.
Yeah. So if you buy any number of Breeze credits, you get the full version. It is free. If you're just trying to find it, Eileen, it is under the marketing tab. So I guess you could think of it as being a marketing hub feature, but even if you're not paying for marketing hub, it'll be there. You can try it out. You can see what it looks like.
That's right.
Are you planning on adding revenue range to the total addressable market section?
I wonder if we have that already. Yeah, we do. It's right here. Sorry, I should have showed you.
Yeah. Sydney, let us know if that answers your question. Sydney said for the total addressable market section. So I don't know if on like the overview, like the number of companies, like also potential revenue is. I don't know exactly how that would be calculated, but
okay.
Anyway. Yes, you can add it to the target market. Let us know if you were looking for something different, Sydney.
Okay.
Let's see. Are there any limits on how many buyer intent profiles you can set up? I've got multiple geographic markets we support, each with different sales teams, and I'm thinking about how to structure buyer intent for each geo.
So if you have multiple geo markets, that's totally like sales teams based on that focus on different markets, geo markets, like that's cool because you can go in and set up a different target market for each of those sales teams, right? I think the tricky part would be whether or not all those different markets have the same intent criteria or not. So let's say all of them still have to go to the pricing page. They still have to go to your demo page. If that's the case, then that's cool. You're actually good to go because you essentially go in and have, a different target market, let's say like cybersecurity North America, cybersecurity EMEA, et cetera, and then they'd all match up to this intent criteria. And then once you go in here, you can just make sure that you filter for, cybersecurity EMEA, and then you can go in and do whatever and send it to the right list for that sales team. But where it becomes tricky is, let's say the different teams have different high intent pages. Then that's tricky because currently right now we only offer one intent criteria. There isn't like multiple intent criteria to mix and match with different target markets. That's something we're also considering for the future, but like right now you can only set one intent criteria, if that makes sense.
Got it. Some of these questions came in very early in your presentation. I think got answered in the flow. So I'm gonna burn through a few of these. Feel free to stop me, Justin, if I'm misrepresenting anything. Daniel asks, will we be able to automatically create companies from those in our target market and showing intent? So yes, the auto add feature under configuration can automatically pull companies in to your CRM, to lists, to workflows. Does this work to trigger sequences? Not directly, but you can put people in a workflow, and workflows can trigger sequences. So you're just one step removed there. If we could differentiate between intent for outside our website versus inside our website, in other words, some intent providers show prospect records that have clicked, focus subject areas that are aligned to our value proposition. So Justin mentioned more intent signals is something we are investigating and working on. Question regarding filtering. We have several subdomains in use. Will it be possible in future to filter for connected domains as well as not only and not only direct page URL paths?
Yeah. So that's squarely on our roadmap. That's something that we heard a lot from our customers as well. So yes, that is coming. The ability to segment based on domain, not just page path.
Great. Does that then enrich the company also after being added via the buyer intent?
Yes. So that's why it costs a credit, because before it's added to your CRM, we fully enrich it.
Got it. Let's see. More about business units. Oh, this is interesting. Can you add the companies from your TAM to HubSpot too? So I guess even if they're not showing intent, can you just grab some of those companies and pull them in?
Not yet. But we are cooking up something related to that too. And we're partnering with some folks over on the Sales Hub side. They're doing a bit of a refresh on the Target Accounts app that lives within buyer intent.
Nice.
And there's going to be some cool magical stuff there. So stay tuned.
Amazing. This is not me promising anything to anyone, but I've asked a few times about what the future of Target Accounts is since we got this sales workspace and since we got buyer intent. Like, it's just kind of been this little orphan thing. And I think really cool things it's going to get connected. It's not going away. It is going to evolve to its next state. And so stay tuned. More questions about getting contact data. I think we answered that. More about business units. Okay. We have a long tail of questions that got 1 or 2 upvotes. We have just like 3 minutes left. So I'm going to call it there. Justin, if people want to follow up with you or if they have additional questions, can you, what do you recommend?
Just shoot me an email. I'm happy to chat whenever, especially if you got feedback, opportunities for improvement, all that good stuff. If you need help getting started, I'm happy to help however you need.
Amazing.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much for being here. I'll drop your email in the chat if that's okay.
Sure.
And then, yeah, I think we will call it here. Justin, you did great. Get some rest. I hope you continue to feel better. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Great to have a big group here learning about this tool. Hope to see you all back next week. Go enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Bye, Justin. Feel better.
Bye. Thanks.